We have a new Fox poll shows voters going even more negative on the D.C. swamp. Voters now have a better opinion of the administration, Melania Trump, vice president and the president, leading other politicians, including Republicans and Democrats, in the D.C. swamp by double digits. Now, President Trump pushing for a legislative victory, saying, quote, I cannot imagine that Congress would dare to leave D.C. without a beautiful new health care bill fully approved and ready to go. While the Democrats are still fear-mongering, the latest, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders now slamming the GOP health care bill. He's now estimating it will be 9 times worse than the losses we suffered on 9/11. That's a quote. Former Trump campaign chief operating officer Jeff DeWit with me now. All right, let's stay on Bernie Sanders for a second. I mean, timing is one thing. The Muslim pro-Sharia activist Linda Sarsour just declared jihad on the White House. I wonder how the people of New York, Pennsylvania, and D.C., the victims' families, will feel about Bernie Sanders comparing policy impact to terrorist attacks. What do you think?
You know, it's not only uncalled for, but it's very unsenatorial, and I would expect more out of Senator Sanders. So, look, this is what the American people have voted for. Almost every Republican lawmaker elected ran on an anti-Obamacare platform, and it's now time to deliver on the promises made to the people. That plain and simple. I fully agree with President Trump that it's time to get a bill done, and nobody should be going on vacation or leaving until it's done.
Jeff, Bernie Sanders and his crowd, they're pushing for failure of the GOP bill because they want single payer. We're going to get to that in a second. But, you know, single payer under the Veteran Affairs single payer system, according to the Inspector General, 307,000 vets, this is according to the IG, may have died waiting for care. Those records were stalled at the VA. So it's really single payer that's the issue, right? I mean, if he's going to, it's a disgrace to compare it to 9/11. I'll tell you, if he doesn't face blowback, I think lawmakers should take it up and say, Bernie Sanders, you just brought it to a new low. Go ahead.
Well, the VA is a perfect example of how the government fails miserably at handling health care, and how anybody could assume that we want the government to handle all the health care for the country. It would be a terrible mistake. In addition to the fact that there are estimates out there that if it was single payer, it would cost $3.2 trillion over the next 10 years. Where in the world would we get that money? It doesn't exist. So, no, it's a bad idea. We need less government in health care. We don't need more government in health care.
You know, and a collapse of Vermont, Bernie Sanders' home state, even before it was implemented, the idea of it was just collapsing it, you know, when they tried to implement single payer in Vermont. Let's get to lawmakers. They have just 3 weeks before the August recess to get it done. I mean, you know, Jeff, you've seen this. Senator Chuck Grassley is now warning the Republicans could go from Senate majority to Senate minority. I mean, Mitch McConnell is horse trading like never before. What do you think?
If we go, as Republicans, from Senate majority to minority, it won't be because we got something done. It will be because nothing got done. The American people are fed up with a Congress and a Senate that talks but delivers nothing. So if we want to hold a majority and increase that majority, we have to deliver on the promises, plain and simple. So, again, I default to President Trump. He's absolutely right. And if you're looking at look at Obamacare as an example, it's failing miserably. Here in Arizona, we've seen the premiums over double. People can't afford to do anything with Obamacare. So it's failed. It's done. And you look back, as you just mentioned, you know, some people claim that was the Democrats' plan all along, was that Obamacare would fail and force the country into single payer. But the American public have given Republicans now the majority in the Senate, House, and the White House, and with the expectation that they will deliver on repealing Obamacare. And now it's time to do that.
You know, Jeff, about the fear-mongering, Hillary Care, remember Hillary Clinton tried to reform the health care system under Bill Clinton, and that was similar to Obamacare. Hillary Care was criticized as, you know, creating possibly the death of thousands. Look at more fear-mongering from the DNC chair, Tom Perez. He claims if Obamacare is repealed, hundreds of thousands of Americans will die, and he will have to institutionalize his autistic son. Let's watch.
200,000 people will die if the Affordable Care Act is repealed. Chuck, don't take my word for it. These are the assessments of people who have looked at the bill. 22 million people are going to lose their lifeline.
It's the assessment of politicians who are fear-mongering, not people who've looked at the bill. They're talking about people making choices. They could maybe use the credits to buy other care. And maybe if they don't pay the mandate tax, they could get, the insurance that they want. I mean, this is all hyperbole. And by the way, Jeff, reporters have not heard back from Tom Perez of the DNC on why Tom Perez feels he would resort to institutionalizing his son without government assistance. Right. What's your reaction?
Liz, the argument Democrats always use when they want to spend money we don't have and basically spend our children's money and make them pay for it is the emotional arguments using straw men and fake figures about how many people are going to die right now. The bottom line is we should not be spending our children's money and our grandchildren's money and making them pay for the bills of today. We have to be fiscally responsible. And if we're going to spend money today, it has to be money from today, and stop this intergenerational theft. That's basically what Tom Perez is advocating.
They're not cutting Medicaid; they're cutting the growth rate of Medicaid. 29% right. higher Medicaid spending under Obama. Able-bodied people on it now. I mean, that's the issue. I mean, here's the thing, Jeff. Tom Perez is facing pressure to resign. May was the DNC's worst fundraising month since 2003. We got 10 Democrat senators running in states Trump won. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, Tom Perez is running the DNC. It mirrors the way that Democrats run the government. He came into office, he fired everybody off the bat, and now says he wants to double the budget of the DNC, but they're raising less money than they've raised in decades. And that's what that's what Democrats do with the government. They want to double the budget, double spending, but they can't pay for it. And that's what they're seeing at the DNC. So the DNC is absolutely imploding. He ran on no platform. He came in basically as the Democrats' way to keep out Keith Ellison, the Bernie Sanders wing of the party, but he just has no platform and no leadership at the organization, which as a lifelong Republican, I very much enjoy. And I think all Republicans would like to see him stay with the DNC for many years to come.
If GOP reform fails, Jeff, here's what is already happening. We've got Elizabeth Warren, Kristen Gillibrand, Democrats increasingly committing to supporting single-payer health care. They're calling it Medicare for all. Again, that bankrupted Bernie Sanders' home state. Elizabeth Warren wants Medicare for all. I mean, is this gaining traction? To your point, it's going to cost trillions over a decade if they do it.
$3.2 trillion to be exact. Look, it's one of the failing problems of Obamacare was it just lumped everybody into one risk pool, and it made the healthy people pay for the sick people. Now what you're saying is let's keep doing that, but make the government foot the bill for everything, which is a terrible idea. So it won't work. It will fail. It will cause taxation to go through the roof. What we have to get back to as a country is opportunity for all and economic growth. These are not policies which will support that. Getting rid of Obamacare and going back to free market solutions do support that. So that's what we have to get done. And every Republican senator right now should be buckling down to deliver on the promises right now.
Thank you, Jeff. We love having you on the show. Come back soon.
Thanks, Liz.